Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to W.M.S.T podcast episode number 40. I am your host Syed. Make sure you like and subscribe and share this video and audio links. So here is the cast tonight. Joining me this week, we've got Editor-in-Chief Ziggler. What up, Ziggler?
Cam, the unstable nerd, you have failed this city.
Yeah, he's been watching Arrow.
Yeah, I'm on season 3. Yeah.
Show's
pretty good, not gonna lie.
I haven't failed anything. The only thing I failed was college.
God damn. Got real quick.
I feel Cam, your brother.
We got everybody's favorite weirdo and mine, Cam. What up, Cam?
The sickest weirdo. I've been feeling sick. I've been dealing with a cold for the past 5 days. I've watched Raw with a headache. I've watched NXT and AEW with a throat cold. And I've been watching SmackDown while getting sick. While getting better.
Raw must have made it worse.
I was really close to turning myself into a Pez dispenser.
Oh man.
The only match or segment that I liked was Shinsuke versus Roman, but that ended in a DQ.
God, SmackDown is so trash. Like, I couldn't even get into the show. Like, after the Shorty Gable
oh my god,
promo package started, I was like, okay, that's it. I gotta turn off the TV. I just can't take this anymore.
And then that quote unquote inspirational speech that he said after the match. My god, that was so.
I missed it.
I had to mute that inspirational speech thing because it was so cringeworthy. I was like, I can't take it anymore.
You know, I'm wondering if Fox is thinking to themselves, what have we just paid $1 billion for?
Exactly, man. I mean,
for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, they're stuck with it.
I mean, I thought it was going into a good direction. I thought it was gonna be great, but it's just been shit.
I mean, the production value is nice and all.
Yeah, like the stages.
To go see it live.
The stage is awesome. Value. The opening intro is awesome. I love all that, but then I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if you paid this much money for something, yeah, the production value is gonna be off the charts. But
was the Fiend on tonight?
No,
I have no
idea.
idea.
Did a promo for him and Seth.
Yeah, I stopped watching it after the 6-pack challenge.
Yeah.
The finish wasn't bad. With the whole flurry of finishers.
I thought it was gonna be an elimination match. I was like, oh, okay.
I thought it was gonna be. Yeah, I thought of it as well. Just like the that match that Becky won for the women's title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was surprised when why they're playing your music. Oh, it's not elimination. Okay, never mind. But yeah.
So some matches where it's like, oh, it's elimination, and then some it's not elimination.
They should really specify before the match.
Oh yeah,
we were being specific. No, you weren't.
Yeah, like if somebody says, okay, if WWE says it's a 6-pack challenge, you'll think, okay, it's a 6-pack challenge, meaning the first pin wins or something like that. But the rule can also be like it can be an elimination or like a point system, but they didn't specify.
They just make up the rules on the fly. And they
don't give a shit.
They don't even mind telling their audience either.
Yeah. Also, here's another thing WWE does nowadays that really bothers me. Like, okay, you can have the worst product in the world, put it out there. Okay, fine, bad creative, understandable. But the fact that you guys false advertise so much nowadays, it makes your audience lose trust in you. Like, I'll just give you one of the few examples I can just think of off the top of my head. Like the premiere episode on Fox, they advertised Undertaker and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Both of them didn't show up. They didn't even mention those two guys on air. Like, and plus the TV guide had like the description of the show. It said appearance from Stone Cold Steve Austin, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan. All this, but they had a brief appearance by Hogan and Flair, but There was no
And that
Taker.
lasted only a few seconds.
Few seconds. There was no Taker. There was no Stone Cold Steve Austin. So they literally false advertising. Probably a million people tuned into the show just to see those two guys. If they weren't there, they were like, all right, I'm out.
Like they did a promo on the pre-show, the blue carpet thing, and that had Austin in it.
They saw The Rock.
But he wasn't on the show. Well, yeah, The Rock. That's it. They gave them The Rock, and that's it. The next week they lost 1 million viewers, so it wasn't even surprising.
But another example I can think of, this year's Women's Money in the Bank ladder match, they promoted Alexa Bliss being in the match, but took her out at the last minute because of injury.
Oh yeah, that too. I mean, yeah. Honestly, if you look closely, you can see many examples of false advertisements that WWE is doing, and it's actually getting really offensive at this point. Like, you're really taking your audience for granted. And honestly, one of the bigger examples I can think of right now is the draft. Because my goodness, that draft was really, really horrible.
A shit show, a disaster piece.
You're better off
watching the Cleveland Browns get their ass kicked.
A clown show.
Both the shows were so goddamn boring. It was so hard to sit through them.
Yeah, the wildcard rule really made the draft so awful. Like, it felt like there was absolutely no change between after 2 nights of drafts. Like, also they didn't even make it clear like if champions were gonna switch or not. So it was like, okay, you can probably predict the first 20 picks which are gonna be the champions staying on their respective brands. And then another thing they did that really bothered me was they said you can use one pick for a tag team, and Raw somehow ended up selecting Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross with 2 separate picks. And it was like, and then they played it off. They was like, oh, it was such a coincidence you guys ended up on the same brand. It's like, oh my god, you guys are a tag team. Of course you were gonna end up on the same brand.
What's annoying to me too was like on the first night on the SmackDown that Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins wasn't like in play. You know, it was so weird.
In the pool.
Yeah, like what do you mean they're not in the they're not in the pool? What the champions? They're the main champions. They have to be picked in like the first round. You know, picking anybody but Lesnar or Rollins, your champions in the first round, is blasphemy.
The 2 chicks that were in the main event last week, Charlotte and Bayley, they weren't even in the pool.
Yeah, it was very strange. And then Stephanie McMahon doing all of them too. It was weird.
Yeah, she announced the names, but nobody came out. That really deflated the audience. Okay, say anything about the shakeups?
I could care less about that, to be honest.
Yeah, say anything about the shakeups that they did earlier in the year and like before that. At least it was an element of surprise, like, ooh, who's gonna come out next? Who's gonna be switching brands? And then the person would appear, and then crowd would pop for them. But this time you just had Stephanie McMahon announce the names like it's like an NBA draft, which they were kind of trying to go for. But you would actually have players come up and shake hands with the commissioner and all that. Nothing like that happened.
Yeah, that was like like in the NFL draft, like they'll like come out and like have like the new jersey, right?
Yeah. Like, speaking of the NFL, like they even had like those NFL, I don't know, reporters, analysts talking about wrestling, and it was like, my goodness.
Fox and NBCS and reporters.
It was like you were handed a script to say some random shit. Like it was like it's obvious that you guys don't know wrestling, so they just say random things
I could care less about this shit.
Right? They're like,
I mean, they were naming like wrestlers from like the 80s and stuff.
Who would you take?
We don't know anybody in the current generation.
Yeah, they're like, who would you take like on the draft? Like, Hulk Hogan, Killer Kowalski. It's like, what the fuck? It's 2019.
Dude, half the wrestlers on the roster on the 80s roster are either dead, retired, or crippled.
I mean, they at least they at least have to know guys like Brock Lesnar, or Seth Rollins, maybe
Or
Roman
Becky,
Reigns.
Bray
Yeah,
Wyatt even.
exactly. They have to at least know them.
I mean,
Yeah.
John Cena isn't on TV nowadays, but at least you should know him.
Or at least, follow the script and name actual wrestlers that are wrestling today.
Yeah, I wish they kind of went in a more analytic type of thing, and they were like maybe say something like Ricochet, be like, oh, I would definitely take Ricochet as my top pick. He's so athletic, can be a star of the brand or something like that. That would make more sense. But you can't talk about the draft without talking about the war rooms.
Oh my
God, they were
god.
ridiculous. Those were stupid.
Those were awful.
Like, if in the war rooms for the 2002 draft were Ric Flair and Arn Anderson for Raw, Kurt Angle and Vince McMahon for SmackDown. That's it. That's all you needed. But now you're bringing in friggin' execs, scripted actors, a friggin' Fox robot.
Yeah, those were probably like one of those extras WWE pays them $200 to do some extra things like acting or whatever for the skits or whatever. And
I mean, we can't get wrestlers for these scripted for these skits.
And of course, no actual USA and Fox executive is gonna sit there and pretend to be excited for no names.
We're gonna be pissed off at the fact that we didn't get Alexa Bliss. No, we're not. We're not gonna fucking.
And I'm surprised they didn't have at least have one or two NXT draft picks.
2016's draft did that.
Yeah.
They didn't even touch it.
Exactly. It was weird. I was expecting at least one or two NXT members to come to SmackDown or Raw. I was like, oh, okay, or not.
I mean,
that's cool.
There are 205 wrestlers like Humberto and Buddy Murphy.
Drew
Well, not Buddy
Gulak.
Murphy. Well, not Buddy Murphy. Drew Gulak, Humberto, and I think the Street Profits were basically undrafted.
Yeah, well, the Street Profits already made their main roster debut pretty much.
They were already on the main roster, but they just didn't have a brand to go to.
Yeah, I think I heard reports before the draft saying there's gonna be no NXT, anybody switching from NXT, which was disappointing. Like, imagine somebody like SmackDown or Raw draft somebody like Matt Riddle. Like, that's like a game changer. Like, that's a franchise player you can get.
Or Gargano or Ciampa.
Right. Like, I would have probably had a more positive outlook on the draft if one of those guys were drafted. But it's like everybody was just drafted to the brand they were already on. And it's like you're just reaffirming the roster. And it's like kind of a ratings grab, but as evident, nobody ended up tuning in really.
Yeah, to your point, there were so many quote unquote drafts, but they were already drafted to that place already. Like, they were already on that brand to begin with. It was really
like the
weird.
Champions
weren't
gonna be moving anyway unless you're gonna have them swap belts.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't draft the United States and Intercontinental Champions from Raw to SmackDown, because they did that last time, I believe. And they did that with every superstar shakeup.
True. You had that, or maybe they could have shaken things to the core, and maybe they could have had the Universal Champion on SmackDown and WWE Champion on Raw.
Right. Heck, you could even change the leather of the belt.
Right. That's the stuff that gets people talking. It's surprising, but obviously they didn't pull that stuff off, so it kind of became predictable.
You can make a new, more beautiful belt for the Universal title and put it on Fox, like a beautiful belt like the AEW title, not just a freaking big ass WWE logo on it.
Yeah, sometimes I wish the World Heavyweight Championship was still a thing. That title was beautiful.
Me too. Yeah.
Just do the Undisputed. I look back at 2002 a lot just for the fact that they have two great title belts.
Yeah. I don't know why.
I mean, the Attitude Era belt was good too.
I love the Undisputed title belt.
The one that Eddie held?
The big gold.
Eddie, Lesnar.
Yeah.
But the big gold title, that title was beautiful. I feel like I don't know why they
Yeah.
can't just bring that back. Replace that title with the Universal title, honestly.
Didn't they
I mean,
retire
I'm
that
used to
title in like
Universal.
14 or 13?
Honestly,
They
that was so
unified the belt and then they retired it with the
Yeah, yeah.
singular belt. That's the
that was
WWE
honestly
title right
so
now.
unnecessary. Like nobody had a problem with the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, I didn't either. I don't. I mean, the Universal Champion is like it's a weird name, Universal Champion. I'm not gonna lie. I do miss that World Champion though. Championship.
The La Champion of the universe.
Uh,
Universal Champion.
but I love that AEW title though. It's so beautiful. I, I
Ooh,
I love seeing it on TV every week. It's so great.
I like that. Speaking of AEW, I wanted to talk a little bit about the main event of Darby Allin versus Chris Jericho for the AEW World Championship. That match was really awesome, and also I feel like that match. I mean, Darby Allin, like Chris Ziggler has been saying, has been on the rise for such a long time, and seeing him in that match, being booked so strongly against Chris Jericho was really awesome. I mean, especially the spot where Darby was wrestling with both hands tied behind his back with duct tape. Like the moves he was pulling off with no hands. I mean, th- that looked really awesome. Like that was really getting my adrenaline pumping when I saw him doing those moves. But obviously, Jericho ended up retaining, and Inner Circle ended up celebrating. Honestly, great match, and I feel like Darby Allin is somebody that you can say is a big star in AEW now. Ziggler, what were your thoughts on that match?
I mean, it was a fine match. I mean, I'm still not the biggest Chris Jericho fan when it comes to in work, but you cannot deny his great promo skills, and I love Darby Allin. I first saw him about a year ago in the PWG Battle of Los Angeles, and I instantly became a fan. I love Darby Allin. He's one of my favorites. And then when he got announced to sign to AEW, it was awesome. I saw his great match live with Cody Rhodes at Fyter Fest, and it was great. And that's his match with Cody Rhodes really like was an eye opener to like new fans of him. You know that was like a great like way to like introduce him and have him like not lose but also not win, have him like in a draw with Cody Rhodes, and everybody instantly loved him. And same with this match, they love him more and more because of that. Again, the hands tied behind his back, and yeah, it's great. I mean, he's done that spot with his hands tied behind his back with quite a few wrestlers in the past. It was also great seeing it on live TV, and he actually did some new stuff with it. So that it was really fun to see that. And then, of course, was it Jake Hager who attacked him? I believe it was Jake Hager who attacked
Yeah,
him
it
Yeah,
was.
it
afterwards.
was.
Yeah, and he's not. He said he's not getting in the ring until his fight in Bellator is over, which is like in a week or two. I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm kind of excited for Hager's in ring debut in AEW, so that's going to be interesting. And yeah, but Darby, like you said, Darby Allin's a star in the making, and I'm really happy for him. I mean, I've only been a fan of him for about a year now, but he has progressed so much since then. And if they get like a AEW mid card title, I want him to be the first one to hold it.
True, I definitely wouldn't be surprised if he's the first one to hold their mid card belt. And Cam, what are your thoughts on Darby Allin? And
I do like Darby Allin. He's a really good wrestler. I do like his image, but the only downside to the image is ring attire. The shorts and the tights. That's my only gripe with him, but other than that, I enjoy him. My first exposure to him was Fighter Fest, and I actually enjoyed how he's more of a risk taker. He's a wrestler with a death wish, always willing to take crazy bumps. And All Out is another example of him taking crazy bumps. especially with that barrel spot in the skateboard. We all knew he wasn't gonna win the title, but it was one of the more star-making performances for him. I'm glad that he got this opportunity and chance to show the world that he can hang with world champions, with a world-class, not world-class athlete, with a living legend like Chris Jericho. If there is a mid-card title, it will either be him, Hangman Page, or MJF that I want to see hold it.
Yeah, very true. Honestly, I feel like there's been a recent push for AEW mid-card title, so hopefully we see that soon someday. All right, so we've been through the Wednesday Night Wars for the past 3 weeks, and in my opinion, I felt like not that AEW has just beaten NXT in the ratings. They've really whooped them in that department, but not. But overall, the product I feel like is really way more exciting than what NXT is bringing. While AEW has more of the big scale pro wrestling appeal, NXT is the more underground punk style appeal, and I feel like audiences really are not going to be attracted to NXT that much. So I feel like that's why AEW has been winning the Wednesday Night War so far, and I feel like they are 3-0 in this war. So Cam, what have your thoughts been on uh, the Wednesday Night War between NXT and AEW 3 weeks in?
My overall thoughts are, even if NXT got the head start, AEW has mainly just caught up to them and has been putting them down. They've been beating them ever since their debut. Third weekend and still garnering 1 million viewers. It's great to see that they're getting that huge debut, but I'm still wondering when they're gonna drop. But NXT has been getting 700,000 viewers at best. Well, over 700,000 when AEW's been getting over 1 million. And sure, SmackDown on Fox on Friday is getting more viewers for the fact that it's a channel that everyone has versus USA and TNT. But I'm glad that they're getting these numbers and this success. But when it comes to pay-per-views, sorry, I have a cold. It may be NXT that will be over, maybe NXT over AEW, because usually NXT's biggest strength are the takeover events. Meanwhile, the next takeover event isn't until Survivor Series weekend.
Yeah, that's definitely something I can't argue with. When it comes to NXT, I feel like overall their in-ring product might be better, but AEW is bringing out the whole package, and the audience is very different too, because NXT is appealing to more of the WWE audience who have been watching the product for a long time. AEW has been for the people who've not been watching wrestling for a really long time, the lapsed fans.
To add to it, I usually don't really watch NXT, mainly
True.
because nothing ever before the move, because usually nothing ever happens on NXT. It's mainly just a whole bunch of matches with people that are up and coming over the people that have been established, like Riddle, Ciampa, Gargano, Shirai, Yim, Belair, Baszler, etc. And
Yeah,
the
that's true.
established people are, and I'm mainly interested in the established wrestlers versus the wrestlers that are actually up and coming. Sure, there are nicer wrestlers like the former Trevor Lee, now Cameron Grimes, for instance. He's been getting matches and it's basically been squash matches. They've been getting him over. They've been getting Walter's Imperium stable over. O'Neil Larkin, Danny Burge. They recently I think, merged the Cruiserweight title with NXT. I don't know.
Yeah.
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 I say I don't know because they're still doing 205.
They've been also getting Damian Priest over too, surprisingly.
I actually saw him live once. He isn't too bad.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He had a great match with Pete Dunne this past week though. It was good.
Another one. Kushida and Walter have been getting over lately. Rhea Ripley's been getting featured.
Yeah.
They've recently featured Tegan Knox.
I mean, Rhea Ripley is fucking great though.
Yeah, I love Rhea.
Yeah, me too. She's the one to beat Shayna at War Games, hopefully.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like the talent in NXT just doesn't compare to the one in AEW. Like you have that versus Moxley and Pac and versus Kenny Omega and Adam Page, which is I think more people are gonna tune in for that match.
Exactly. That's just like a star-studded match, man.
Yeah. What have your thoughts been on the NXT and AEW Wednesday Night Wars 3 weeks in?
I mean, yeah, it has been 3-0 in the ratings, AEW, but to me, I think it's 2-1 as like what's the better show. I think NXT beat AEW in the first week, and then these past 2 weeks, AEW has just been fucking unstoppable. I mean, it's just been so great. And that's not to say the first show wasn't great. Yeah, the first show was pretty good, but I believe NXT was better that week because it was pretty much like a mini takeover. It's like 3 title matches. So, yeah. But this week with NXT, there was like a lot of filler matches, and I don't know. I mean, it was all right. I really enjoyed the main event, though. The main event was really fun. It was really good. Damian Priest and Pete Dunne. That was a great match, but. Yeah, and the ratings, AEW is still staying in the million territory, and NXT is like in like the 700K, I believe. And I mean, yeah, again, like we've been saying for weeks and months, the real winners are the fans. So we're getting great wrestling. We're getting great wrestling shows on at the same time. I mean, it's NXT. It's not like it's Raw versus or SmackDown versus AEW. If it was that, then AEW would win like a clean sweep. But this is NXT though, and NXT trumps over anything WWE is doing right now. So, yeah.
To add to my draft reactions, I was literally in bed with a cold, a throbbing headache, spitting every few minutes, trying to watch that friggin' draft. It was horseshit. It was torture. 3 hours with a cold. I dare anyone to be in my shoes. It was one of the worst experiences. Or you could just not watch
turn it off.
No, fuck that shit. People expect me to actually watch this shit.
Just be like, nah, fuck you, fans. Screw you, go all Bailey on them. Screw you all.
Honestly,
but
man.
Seriously, guys, I love you. I love y'all.
Honestly, if you don't watch Raw, wouldn't even blame you, man. Like I can't even stand watching 3 hours of Raw wrestling.
And you want to know the worst part about Raw now?
I could watch 3 hours of All Elite. I wouldn't mind.
You want to know the worst part about it? Raw's coming to Cleveland this next Monday.
Don't waste your money.
I was literally debating on going, but after Hell in a Cell, I just said no.
Save it for when AEW comes to town.
True.
Or hell, the next house show, or when SmackDown comes about, or just save it on clothes, food. Hell, don't even buy the video game. I would say buy the video game, but like, no, don't buy the video game.
Yeah, just save your money. Don't spend it on the WWE until they treat the fans right.
Buy your money on cough medicine.
Or get some cough medicine space.
Hey everyone, hope you enjoyed that video and make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And click on the channel to check out some more awesome videos like our movie and wrestling debates and our interviews with people like the Wrestling Classic and Jordan Jomo from the IGWC. And we are definitely looking into delivering you all some more content in the near future, so definitely be on the lookout for that. And thank you for your support.